with Neom, the line new wonders for the world.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today. This is your primetime destination news, newsmakers, talking points. Tuesday night, our continuing focus, justice for Bilkis Bano. Will the Supreme Court now step in? Tonight, we'll have lawyers from both sides, from Bilkis Bano and the rape convicts. That's going to be our top focus. Also, showdown over Savarkar in Karnataka. Polarization, politics ahead of elections there. We'll talk about that. There's lots to talk about. But as always, first, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9 tonight. BJP MLA T. Raja Singh arrested in Telangana, released over remarks on the Prophet. The BJP suspends the Neta, threatens his expulsion. Meanwhile, Sar Tank Se Judar, slogans raised at protest against Singh in Hyderabad. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal claims his deputy Manish Sisodia will be arrested in the next few days. Liquorgate showdown erupts in Telangana. State BJP Chief Bandi Sanjay detained for alleged murder bid on KCR's daughter. He claims this is all fixed by the government. Supreme Court agrees to hear a plea challenging the remission of Bilkis Bano's 11 rapists, headed by CJI NV Ramanna. Among the petitioners, TMC MP Mahua Moitra claims the release violates justice. CBI judge hearing the cattle smuggling case involving Trinamool Congress strongman Anubrato Mondal gets a death threat letter. Judge warned that his family will be framed in a drug case if Mondal is not cleared of all charges. Political slugfest over Savarkar in Karnataka. Former Chief Minister Yediyurappa flags off a Savarkar Rath Yatra in Mysuru, hails the Hindutva ideologue as a proud son of India. Congress announces a Bharat Jodo Yatra from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. Congress workers and MPs to take part in a 3,500-kilometer journey to spread the message of social harmony. BJP leader and actor Sonali Fogart dies of heart attack in Goa, aged just 41. Family alleges conspiracy against her. Unnatural death cause registered. Heavy rains trigger flood fury in Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. Met Department sounds heavy rain alert, warns of more flooding and damage. And the Adani Group is set to take over NDTV News Network, announces an indirect acquisition of 29.818% stake in NDTV, launches an open offer for another 26% stake at 294 rupees per share. But tonight, the big story that we are getting and the breaking news, the BJP MLA T. Raja Singh from Telangana, who was arrested this morning for his remarks on the Prophet, has been granted bail today the very same evening. Mr. Raja Singh was sent to 14-day judicial custody for his remarks on the Prophet that he had made on YouTube. But he has now been granted bail this evening on the grounds that the due process had not been followed by the Hyderabad police, which had arrested him this morning. Remember, Mr. Raja Singh was suspended today by the BJP, which said that his remarks against the Prophet were not acceptable. So lots of twists and turns. Apurva Jayachandran is joining me from Hyderabad with the very latest. Apurva, in the morning, Mr. Raja Singh arrested, by evening granted bail. On what grounds has he been granted bail so soon?
Well, what we are learning is that the bail that was granted to Raja Singh was, on the grounds of the proper due procedure for arresting, that is 41 CRPC, was not followed. That is the argument that was put forth by his lawyers. In fact, we've also spoken to his lawyers where they say that as there was not due procedure that was followed, that is the 41 CRPC, that is why that was the main focus of their argument, which led to the bail of Raja Singh. In fact, we're right outside.
I'm hearing slogans shouting where you are. You seem to be outside. Is it outside the police station where Raja Singh was arrested and his supporters have gathered around? Am I correct?
This is not his, this is not also the police station, but in fact outside his residence out here where we are currently at. In fact, if I could just ask my cameraman to turn around and look at the police bandobast that has been set up here as well. Several police officials who have been deployed here just after Raja Singh was released on bail as well. On one side, you have supporters of Raja Singh there crying cheers of victory outside his residence. Calling out that Raja Singh is a great leader, while on the other side you have the police out here trying their best to control the situation on ground. Remember, since yesterday, that is, we've seen Raja Singh's YouTube video that commented quite sensitive issue and commented on Prophet Muhammad, and ever since that there have been massive protests that were underway here in across various parts of Hyderabad.
And all of this, of course, taking place with 15 months to go for elections in Telangana and the build-up to that. So clearly, that's the mood out there. Apurva, we'll come back to you for more. Just to give our viewers the backstory. The BJP today suspended the Telangana MLA Raja Singh after he made a controversial remark on the Prophet Muhammad. His remarks sparked off angry protests in Hyderabad. Many of the protesters were seen raising slogans also in support of beheadings, sparking a fresh controversy. What exactly happened? Take a look.
Namaz in front of Commissioner's office. Several shops in Old Hyderabad shut. Massive protest marches and dharnas. The Muslim community in Hyderabad is up in arms over BJP MLA T. Raja Singh's alleged remarks against Prophet Muhammad. Shocking Sartan se Juda or beheading chants also echoed in the protest. Raja Singh had made the communal remark while attacking stand-up comedian Munawwar Farooqi, who recently held a show in Hyderabad despite BJP's opposition. Hyderabad police arrested him on Tuesday morning for creating communal disharmony. The BJP has suspended Raja Singh from the party. Singh claimed that since Farooqi had made fun of Hindu gods in the past, he had no other choice.
ऐसे व्यक्ति का प्रोग्राम होगा, जहां प्रोग्राम होगा उस सेट को जला दिया जाएगा। हमें कल से अरेस्ट करके रखा गया है। अगर दम है तो हमें छोड़ के बताएं। हमारी ताकत क्या है, हम क्या कर सकते हैं। मुनव्वर फारूकी यहां से सही सलामत नहीं जाएगा। मैं चैलेंज करता हूं केटीआर को, हमें छोड़ के बताएं। जिसने हमारे रामचंद्र जी को गाली दिया, जिसने सीता मैया के ऊपर कमेंट किया, ऐसा व्यक्ति तेलंगाना से अगर सीधा चले जाए तो मेरा नाम बदल देना। अगर दम है तो ये पुलिस फोर्स हटा के बताओ।
Enraged by Raja Singh's remark, several complaints and FIRs were filed against him by Muslim politicians and activists. Congress corporator Rashid Khan threatened to burn down Raja Singh's constituency, Gosha Mahal, if no action was taken.
23 अगस्त के दिन राजा सिंह को हिरासत में नहीं लेंगे। 24 के दिन राशिद खान गोशा महल में दाखिल हो जाएगा। फिर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर को तोड़ने के लिए मैं तैयार हूं और मैं तैयार रहूंगा वो दिन भी। राजा सिंह हर वक्त हमारे हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की शान में गुस्ताखी करते आया हुआ है। मेरा मुतालिबा है शहर का अमन सुकून ग़ारत कर दूंगा अगर से मैं राजा सिंह को हिरासत में ले लेंगे तो।
The protest against Raja Singh saw MIM corporator Zafar Khan raising beheading slogans right in front of the police. The police are yet to act against Zafar Khan.
The Central Committee has suspended BJP MLA Raja Singh from all his duties in the party and asked for an explanation within 10 days as to why the party should not take any strict action against him. It is to be seen what action will be taken by the Hyderabad City Police following this outrage. With camera person Damodar, Abdul Bashir, Hyderabad.
This happened, of course, in Hyderabad, where, as you can see, political divide taking place, communal divides taking place. But let's take a look at a story now which, in a sense, also reflects the troubled times in which we live in. The campaign to get justice for Bilkis Bano, the woman who was gang raped and saw her 3.5-year-old daughter murdered in front of her during the Gujarat riots of 2002, has finally gathered some pace. 2 petitions filed in the Supreme Court today challenging the release of the convicts in the rape and murder case. The petitioners included TMC MP Mahua Moitra and CPM leader Subhashini Ali. Will the Supreme Court review the release of the convicts in this gang rape case that shocked the nation? Anisha Mathur tells us what happened in the court today.
2 petitions before Supreme Court now challenging the remission granted to the convicts who had gang raped a pregnant Bilkis Bano in 2002. The petitions have been filed by women's rights activists including CPIM leader Subhashini Ali, journalists and Mahua Moitra, who's a TMC MP. The petitions were mentioned before the Chief Justice-led bench by Senior Advocate Kapil Sibal this morning, who has argued that since CBI had investigated this matter, could the Gujarat government have legally taken this decision without consulting the central government in the first place? The petitions have also questioned the remission policy, pointing out that the centre's special remission policy for Independence Day releases had specifically excluded persons who are convicted of heinous crimes such as rape or murder. The CJI has for now said that he will hear the matter, but no specific date of hearing has been given so far. We'll have to wait and see how and when the Apex Court takes up these issues. In New Delhi with cameraman Ashwini Helan, this is Anisha Mathur for India Today.
So, should the Supreme Court be reviewing the entire issue of the release of those who were convicted for gang rape and murder? Should they be re-looking at this entire case? That's what we are raising. Did the remission violate norms? Will Bilkis Bano ever really get real justice and a sense of closure? Tonight we brought together the 2 lawyers who appeared for 2 sides. Shobha Gupta has been Bilkis Bano's lawyer, fighting for her for years now. And Rishi Malhotra is a criminal lawyer at the Supreme Court who argued for the convicts. Let's turn to both of you on this. First to you, Shobha Gupta. Is a judicial review, in your view, the only logical next step? Today, petitions were filed, but they were filed by concerned citizens and politicians, not by Bilkis Bano herself. Do you believe that this is a fit case for judicial review?
It's a fit case for judicial review. And as I have been saying, like I've spoken to you before also, let as many as of us come to court. Mm-hmm. Why not? Like, I'm more than happy that citizens are getting up and they are reaching out to court, mm-hmm, with whatever nature of the petition. Mm-hmm. And whosoever, see, somebody can be a politician or somebody can be somebody from some other profession. Mm-hmm. As long as people are actually reacting to the order and the society is gelling together to tell Bilkis that you need not to each time come yourself and take it up. We can do it for you.
But Shobha Gupta, the fact is Bilkis has locus. She and her family have locus. They will feel that they are the aggrieved party. On the other side, the politicians and the other well-meaning individuals who may intervene may not have locus. Do you believe that Bilkis Bano will have to eventually come to the court to make her voice heard?
So if that need be, she would certainly come. Let's see what happens with these petitions in court. Mm-hmm. If, like, she's not shying, it's not as if she can live with this order. She can't live with this order.
She can't live with this order. Let me get that clear. She cannot live with this order. Why? Why can she not live with this order?
How come, like, what is this question, Rajdeep? Like, am I supposed to answer this question that why can't she live with this
No,
order?
what is it? What is it? What is it? The fact, is she worried about her safety? Is it just the anger that the very people who gang raped her and murdered her 3.5-year-old daughter along with others have been let free after 14 years? Is this out of anger? Is this out of fear? That's what I'm asking.
Assume for a moment there is no fear. Assume for a moment. Can this order, this remission order, which completely zeroed down a whole trial process, they were already dealt with so liberally when they were not given the death penalty, which was the maximum punishment available for the offense they have done. Is it not necessary for the convicts or the accused to be dealt with sternly or to dealt with properly for the punishment which is needed to be given to them? Those are the additional factors. That the impact on the society, impact on Bilkis, her fear factor, the possibility, whatever apprehension she has, and other things. For the timing, let's forget that. But can in this nature of crime a remission come in 14 years? Was it a case for remission at all? Is it a law that in all cases where the accused or convicts approaches the committee or the state government concerned, they must be granted remission? No, that's not law. Law says remission is not a right. Remission you can ask for if the committee considers all the factors as a mandate. For me, to begin with, this is not a case for remission at all. They were already given the clemency, they were already dealt with very liberally when they were not given the death penalty but life imprisonment only.
And they have also been granted parole several times over the last 14 years. They've regularly come out of jail. You know, Mr. Malhotra, you explain to us, why should those who have been convicted for gang rape, for murdering a 3.5-year-old daughter in front of her mother, along
14.
with others, they don't get the death sentence, they get life. And now they get remission? Do you believe that there was sufficient application of mind, Mr. Malhotra, when this remission was granted? Or do you believe this remission has been done keeping in mind the political considerations, especially in Gujarat where elections are a few months away?
Absolutely. May I just answer in 5 minutes now? Now, talking about the petition which has been filed in Supreme Court, it's legal absurdity in its best form, and that too by a top-notch legal eagle. Criminal law jurisprudence categorically states that a third party has no locus standi in criminal jurisprudence at all. I can understand if a victim or a complainant, they can approach the Supreme Court or the High Court, whatever the case may be. But a third party, and that too on a political masters, they are approaching Supreme Court in a criminal jurisprudence. It's completely unheard of, and Supreme Court has deprecated this practice time and again. That's point number one. Point number two, I have an occasion to see that petition, and let me tell you very interestingly, the petition says that they don't have the copy of the remission order. And yet they challenge this a remission order, saying that it may be bereft of this thing or it may be bereft of that thing. I really fail to understand what sort of petition has been filed. Is it a Taliban rule or is it the jungle rule? That they don't know what is the factors which has gone for a remission order, and yet they challenge this a remission order, and they seek that all these convicts should be put back to jail.
You tell me, I asked you,
they don't make us all the 11 accused as parties in this petition.
I asked you a question, whether on what grounds do you believe that the remission is justifiable, given the horrendous nature, the utter bestiality of this crime, sir? On what basis do you believe? Not once have any of these individuals shown even a fraction of remorse.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now let me explain the second aspect now. The Jail Advisory Committee, which has recommended release of these prisoners, consists of 10 members, which consist of a district and session judge, a district magistrate, senior superintendent of police, 3 social workers, 2 MLAs, and other social organization. So it's a 10-member unanimous decision which has let out these persons after they have served out actual sentence of 15 years and more. Not only that, the requisite requirement of the central government in these cases have been taken with approval. So I really fail to understand that when all the requisites, all the norms as per 1992 policy which is applicable at time of conviction has been taken care of, why this hue and cry at this stage when the man has been released after 15
the
years of actual
decision,
sentence?
sir, 1 minute. There were 10 people on that committee. 5 of them are affiliated to the BJP, including 2 MLAs. That's the fact. The fact also, Mr. Malhotra, is that questions can be raised whether there was sufficient application of mind. I asked you a simple question. Have any of these convicts ever shown any remorse for their action? Do you agree that gang rape and murder is the most horrendous of crimes that have taken place? Do you concede that or not, sir?
Absolutely. Rape and murder is a dreaded crime. There is no running away from that. But please don't forget, when the convicts were not awarded death sentence either by the High Court or by the Supreme Court, there was no hue and cry by anyone or so-called social activities which are now cropped up once again. So why now, after they have served out actual 15 years of sentence, the desired period of sentence which they were required to serve was 14 years only, despite that they have served 1.5 years more, and now they want to get reformed and rehabilitated? Why this hue and cry now at this stage? I really wonder about this type of locus
let me put that to Ms. Gupta. Let me put what you just said to Ms. Gupta. Ms. Gupta, here you've got Rishi Malhotra saying, why the hue and cry now? They were not, death sentence was not given. They were given life. They've completed 15 years in jail. Therefore, they have every right to rehabilitate themselves after the same Supreme Court says every sinner has a future.
Before answering that, can I ask Rishi? Rishi, do you have the copy of the order, remission order?
That's the point. Nobody has the copy of the order, yet a petition has been filed challenging the order.
Thank you for clarifying, Rishi.
No, 1 minute. Are we telling, just a minute, are we telling the viewers of this country, the people of this country, that neither the lawyer for Bilkis Bano nor the lawyer for the convicts, even today, 1 week later, has a copy of the remission order? Is that what we are saying, Mr. Malhotra? You have a copy of the order, remission order given by the Gujarat government, stating the reasons? You have it? Yes or no? Yes or no, sir?
Rajdeep, please appreciate, a petition has been... Nobody has the copy of the remission order, and that's what the prayer in the so-called writ petition is.
Okay.
That please supply us the copy of the order and set it aside.
But what does it say?
The reasons of the order.
Days, sir.
This is unheard of,
sir,
actually.
They were given remission on the 15th. We are on the 23rd of August. Are we saying in this country that 8 days later, the Gujarat government has not even given this remission order to the lawyers in public? What is being hidden?
So I'll answer.
Yeah, please
Nothing
answer.
has been hidden. They can always apply, as Shobha told, they have moved an RTI for a copy of the remission order.
Okay, so RTI has to be moved for a copy of remission order, but go ahead, Shobha. Okay, ma'am. Okay, sir, let Shobha respond. I'll come to you.
So, since my friend Rishi was referring in detail about what must have been gone into by the committee, I thought he has the occasion to read the order. So, luckily it seems even he like, here we are equal. Even he does not have the copy of the order. We don't have the copy of the order. We have applied now under RTI. And I'm just hoping that in a day or two, they give it us. We have written to them directly also, through RTI also. We don't have the copy of the remission order yet. So
You're being asked to file an RTI. Are you saying, Shobha Gupta, you're being asked to file an RTI to find out the remission order? Is that what you've gone and done?
I have. We have. Bilkis has submitted the RTI application yesterday.
Let me also get this clear, Shobha Gupta. Am I correct in saying that this 10-member committee at no stage consulted or spoke to Bilkis or her family members before giving the remission? Is that right?
Not at all.
At no stage?
Not at all.
Is that unusual?
This news broke to us on 15th when they actually came out. 14th, certainly Yakub called me and he was asking, ma'am, is there something, there's a feeler in the village, people are talking like this. They might come out any day. It seems Supreme Court has given them some relief. So there were feelers. On 14th and 15th, they were out. Not once anybody approached Bilkis. No notice, no information. Now, my friend was talking about right to rehabilitate. Right to rehabilitation to whom? Who had no mercy, no humanity. The wilderness of highest order of killing 14 persons before killing, actually raping, gang raping the women there. The deceased include a one-day-old child also, one-day-old child. The daughter of Bilkis was smashed in front of her eyes. She was begging to those accused, I am daughter to you, I am sister to you, my daughter is like daughter to you, we have been interacting, we were in the same village. They were much elder than double of the age, possibly, or actually much elder to her. She was begging to them for mercy. We handle a pregnant woman like in a air bubble.
But Ms.
Ms.
Gupta, the fact, Ms. Gupta, your story is driving me to tears again. But the fact is that Section 434 and 435 of the Criminal Procedure Code does allow any of the convicts to approach the court, which they did. It allows the court to pass the matter on to the state government, which they did, and for the state government to grant remission. That is the law and the procedure.
So there's the catch. Enabling provision is not a mandatory provision. An enabling provision, the policy says if you have completed minimum 14 years, you can approach us. It does not say nobody can be kept behind bars beyond 14 years. It was a window to be opened for an application to be submitted for consideration of remission. Supreme Court, again and again, I can put a lengthy list of judgments, including 5 judges bench judgment, which says remission is not a matter of right. It's something you can ask for, factors to be considered.
It's a matter of discretion. It's a matter of discretion.
Mandate is what? Mandate is to look into the factors which is mandatory.
Okay.
What is the mandate? Nature of the crime. The method of conducting the crime. The remorselessness, forget remorselessness. Impact on the society, impact on the individual. Their conduct, sentence undergone. The safety concerns of the victim. We have yet to see, but believe you me, my sense of reasoning fails me completely if I put everything together. Can any person having some reasons in mind can grant this remission at all? There were 10 sitting together.
Rishi Malhotra, you want to respond to that, because the fact is that here is the victim of a horrendous crime who's not even consulted before her, at no stage, consulted before her victims, her fears, her anxieties, her apprehension, her sense of justice is not part of this 10-member committee, whose remission order, as both of you have acknowledged on the show, is not even now public even today. So either the government has something to hide, or...
And we are in digital India.
Okay, just a minute, ma'am. Rishi Malhotra, therefore, just given that nature of the crime, what is the main reason in your view why they deserved remission? Simple, straight question. In your view, why do you believe they deserve remission?
Yeah. No. You see, before I answer this question, let me make some facts which is clear and which is not in dispute. There were 2 policies of state of Gujarat which are in question as on date. One is 92 policy and other is 2014 policy. 92 policy and 2014 policy both talks about that a convict should undergo a minimum sentence of 14 years actual. That's not in dispute. 92 policy says that in order to be case for consideration for premature release, there will be an advisory board consisting of 10 members, which I just spelled out earlier, and then they will take a decision whether to consider granting of remission to a convict or not. 2014 policy, there was some departure from 92 policy, which said that in certain category of cases like rape and murder, a convict may not be released for premature release for all times to come. Now, the Supreme Court in May 2022 passed a detailed judgment saying that in this case, since the trial court has convicted the convicts in 2008, so therefore a 92 policy which was still being governed will be applicable in this case. Now, today, what was mentioned by Kapil Sibal before the court was that we are not challenging, I am repeating this word, we are not challenging the Supreme Court judgment of May 2022. What we are only seeking is to place on record the copy of the remission order. And the further prayer is that while putting on record the copy of the remission order, let it be set aside without seeing any reasons. And coupled with this thing, the beauty of this thing is that the relief which has been sought against 11 accused, they are not even made parties to the writ petition. And a petition has been filed by a political master, and the allegation against the advisory committee is that it consisted of 5 BJP MLAs. So what about this petition which has been filed by a CPIM and other so-called political masters? Nobody is touching upon that.
You are a very fine lawyer.
Why can't the complainant can approach the Supreme Court?
You're a very fine lawyer. There will be 2 issues though. Sir, just a minute. You're a very fine lawyer, but 2 issues can still be raised. That the Supreme Court, in its May order, allowing the state to use discretionary powers, said you can go by the 1992 rule because the gang rape took place before the 2014 new rules that do not allow remission for rapists have occurred. So therefore, they've gone by the 1992. I can challenge that in court, or I presume someone will. Number 2, you're saying that it is now a petition being filed by one political party or grouping versus the other. But the fact is, at the heart of this is a woman who at the age of 21, when she was a few months pregnant, was gang raped and her 3.5-year-old child was murdered in front of her. That is not disputed. And therefore the question arises, what is the precedent that is being set if they are granted precedent? Not once has your client shown any remorse. And therefore I ask, if they had shown some remorse, some willingness to rehabilitate themselves in the truest sense, instead of being garlanded and giving sweets, I would have accepted your argument, Mr. Malhotra.
No, I really, Rajdeep, just a minute. I really wonder where is it coming from that they had no remorse or they had no intent to rehabilitate themselves. This is just a speculative debate, nothing else. 15 years a man has undergone as an actual custody. Don't you think that he has a right to have a rehabilitation and reformation? Otherwise, why did the Supreme Court or the High Court did not award death sentence if the Supreme Court would have thought that it was such a grossest case ever in the history of India? The Supreme Court wisdom nobody can challenge. Neither the Supreme Court wisdom in 2022 judgment can anybody challenge. Even the other side made an appeal before the Supreme Court today
on record of any remorse.
They don't intend to challenge the Supreme Court judgment.
Can you show me one statement on record of any remorse?
No, that's what I'm saying. How is it presumed against my clients that they have no remorse? Nobody has the record in front of them. Nobody has the remission order in front of them. Yet a petition is filed that how come remission was granted. This is actually an absurd. Talking about any neutral case, forget I defended the accused.
Okay, so you're saying, how can you go to the remission? How can you go to the court with a petition seeking to reverse the remission order without even having the remission order in the first place in your hand? The fact, though, is, as I repeated at the outset, 8 days have passed.
And to add on this, without knowing the reason whatsoever.
Okay, we don't know the reason. But we prima facie, because of the nature of the crime, believe it could be non-application of mind. It could be political considerations. Either way. Sir, either way, I am a father, as you are, as many people watching this show are, who will ask themselves this question tonight as they sleep. Is this the kind of justice system we want in this country, where a precedent is being set, where those convicts who've served 14 years but have never shown any remorse, or at least none publicly, are being let off because Section 434 and 435 gives discretion to a government whose 5 representatives are those who are seen to be ideologically aligned to some of these convicts in the context of what happened 20 years ago. 20 saal baad, this country must ask itself tonight and wake. And if you tell me move on, go and tell that, look at Bilkis Bano in the eye and tell her to move on. It is for her and her struggle that we must fight this campaign as right-thinking Indians. Because today it's Bilkis, tomorrow it could be anyone else in the country. The Supreme Court must lay out clearer parameters for when remission is to be granted. It cannot be arbitrary. It cannot be in this way. Shobha Gupta, Mr. Malhotra, I appreciate both of you joining us. I know that you're lawyers, but we are all human beings above all else. And it is that humanity that needs to shine through in a case like this. Please think about it tonight. Let's move on. Politics. It's always politics. Savarkar has taken center stage in Karnataka that goes to elections next year. Today, the former Chief Minister and the BJP's face in Karnataka, B.S. Yediyurappa, flagged off a Savarkar Rath Yatra in Mysuru. BSY hailed Savarkar as a proud son of India. The Savarkar Yatra, according to some, could be another effort at polarizing the election in Karnataka. Take a look.
Showdown over Vinayak Damodar Savarkar escalating in Karnataka. From Bengaluru, Shivamoga, Kodagu to Tumkur, and now Mysuru. Where BJP heavyweight B.S. Yediyurappa flagged off a mega campaign on the Hindutva icon, lauding him as a proud son of Bharat Mata, loved and adored by all parties in the past, including Indira Gandhi.
ದೇಶದ ಮೊದಲ ಮಹಿಳಾ ಪ್ರಧಾನಿ ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಂದ ವೀರ ಎಂದು ಕರೆಸಿಕೊಂಡ ಮಹಾನ್ ನಾಯಕ ವೀರ ಸಾವರ್ಕರ್ ವಿರುದ್ಧ
This is the automobile, the Rath, where Savarkar's achievements is being showcased to the people. Books are also being sold. This is the digital monitor where Savarkar's achievements is being displayed. All his achievements, videos, everything will be showed to people, which will be taken throughout the city, and people will be educated about this. Now inaugurating this Rath Yatra, B.S. Yediyurappa said that this is significant in light of everything that's happening in the state.
The Congress, which has responded to BJP's Savarkar salvo by eulogizing Tipu Sultan, was more measured this time, obliquely taking a jibe at the saffron ideologue.
ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡಿದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಐತಿಹಾಸಿಕ ಸತ್ಯ, ಹಿಸ್ಟಾರಿಕಲ್ ಟ್ರೂತ್. ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ ಸಾವರ್ಕರ್ ಅವರು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರಿಗೆ ತಪ್ಪೊಪ್ಪಿಗೆ ಬರೆದು ಕೂಡ ಐತಿಹಾಸಿಕ ಸತ್ಯ. ಅವರು ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಹೋರಾಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲ್ಗೊಂಡು ಜೈಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರು, ತಪ್ಪೊಪ್ಪಿಗೆ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು ಅಂತದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸತ್ಯ.
Savarkar frenzy meanwhile spread to Ganesh Utsav celebrations. Fringe groups also made an open call to violence. Sri Ram Sena chief Pramod Muthalik threatened to chop off hands of Congress workers and Muslims who dare to remove Savarkar posters.
ಸಾವರ್ಕರ್ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಮರಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ, ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ವಿರೋಧಿ ಅಥವಾ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಮರಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡಿದಂತ ಅಪ್ರತಿಮ ಕ್ರಾಂತಿಕಾರಿ. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಇದ್ರು. ಮುಸ್ಲಿಮರೇನಾದ್ರು ಅಥವಾ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನವ್ರು ಏನಾದ್ರು ನಾವು ಹಾಕಿದಂತ ಭಾವಚಿತ್ರ, ಈ ಬ್ಯಾನರ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಮುಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಕೈ ಕತ್ತರಿಸಿ ಬಿಸಾಕ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹದ್ದು ನಾನು ಎಚ್ಚರಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
This comes days after Savarkar posters were put up by BJP workers at Congress office in Vijaypura, prompting Congress to threaten retaliation using Tipu Sultan posters at BJP office. With Priyanka Rudrappa in Mysuru, Bureau Report, India Today.
So is Savarkar being used to polarize elections in Karnataka? Can the communal polarization really work in a state like Karnataka? Is the BJP showing some signs of nervousness that it needs a Savarkar Yatra? Is the Congress falling into the BJP's trap by allowing the BJP in a way to set the agenda? Captain Ganesh Karnik is BJP's spokesperson in Karnataka. Aishwarya Mahadev is the Congress's spokesperson. And Sandeep Shastri is coordinator Lokniti Network, but also the foremost political scientist from Karnataka. Appreciate your joining us. Let's turn to each of you. Captain Karnik, you first. Savarkar Yatra, Is that what your state needs really in 2022, or is this a brazen attempt to polarize the elections, try and create a Hindutva vote bank in Karnataka?
Rajdeep, good evening, and good evening to my co-panelists. I personally feel among the tallest freedom fighters, I think there was a position which was required to be given to Veer Damodar Savarkar. I must compliment and congratulate, at least after 75 years, we are talking about Veer Savarkar and his contributions. This political rally which you are referring to is I think, a long overdue kind of a rally to go around the state and tell people why Savarkar and his contributions were neglected during the past 70 years, why people are so anti towards Savarkar, why Savarkar's posters are being damaged, and his contributions, unlike any of the freedom fighters, 28 years of Kala Pani. I don't think any of the glorified so-called freedom fighters had to undergo the kind of hardship Mr. Savarkar went.
But do you need a yatra, Captain Karnik? Do you need a yatra for this? Do you need a yatra in election year? All of what you say may well be a lot of what you say may be right, but do you need a yatra to take to the people?
Obviously, because all these years Savarkar has been very intentionally neglected. And there are protests against him. On one letter which he wrote to the British people, people have been completely neglecting Savarkar's legacy. So today, to take out all the differences, confusion from the minds, it is the right time to go around the state and tell people what was the contribution of Veer Damodar Savarkar.
Okay, so you're saying it is part of an information effort to reach out to people to tell them who was Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. Okay. You want to respond, Aishwarya Mahadev, to that? Is the Congress falling into a trap by allowing the BJP to rake up these issues, and then you respond and say, no, some congressmen say we will take out a Tipu Yatra, and then that becomes, in a sense, a recipe for a potential conflict?
Good evening, Rajdeep. I think it is only the BJP in Karnataka that is far more bothered about an 18th century ruler and a person pre-independence, as opposed to actually looking at the state of infrastructure and the condition of governance in my state today. And irony will have it that an atheist or a Nastik himself is now being eulogized during Ganesh Chaturthi. But then again, that's the great irony of the BJP and its allied institutions. Rajdeep, let's make one thing very clear. The BJP will always pick up the communal bogey when it does not have progress or an agenda of development. Today, my state is reeling under allegations of 40% corruption in the government. Not only did we have the PSI scam, we have the KPTCL scam today. You saw 11,000 potholes, and right after the rain, you see 6,000 or 7,000 of them again causing massive deaths and spinal injuries to people. The High Court hauling up the government saying your officers are so corrupt, we won't give them bail. And the BJP's infighting, which is legendary, so much so that the national leadership had to come put them back in line like a bunch of errant school children. All of these issues are plaguing the BJP so much, Rajdeep, that the only agenda they have is us versus them. I do not care what happened in 18th century. I do not care what happened pre-independence. You want to talk about history? Wonderful. But do not abdicate your responsibility as a government, and you are not government.
Your leader Siddharamaiah is the one who responded in a way to the Savarkar Yatra. Why respond to it? Ignore it. Why is the Congress in a way responding at all to the Savarkar Yatra? Because the moment you do, then it effectively becomes an issue to polarize. Now you've got the Sri Ram Sene and sort of fringe, so-called fringe groups also entering the fray.
You know, when Mr. Siddaramaiah spoke about it, he said, you want to do a Savarkar Yatra, look at his contributions, but talk about GST, talk about inflation, talk about the common man's problems. And when we talk about Savarkar, if that is the conjecture, that is the narrative they want to put forth and have a Yatra instead of giving progress, the people of Karnataka are not stupid. But allow the Congress to also raise the fact that the objection lies in you can eulogize, you can sit and put anybody on a pedestal, but do not run away from your issues, do not run away from governance. The media will twist it, the BJP will twist it, they will try to make it an us versus them. And this is standard, basically communal BJP 101. We saw it in 2018, seeing it now. And this is the only agenda they have, Rajdeep.
Okay, let me just a minute. Let me take that to Professor Shastri. Dr. Shastri, you know, we are seeing this in Karnataka now over the last 9 months. Hijab one day, halal one day, Tipu Sultan the third day. Muslim traders allegedly boycotted during temple festivals. Now we are seeing Savarkar playing out versus Tipu on one side. Roll up PFI under scanner, roll up Bajrang Dal under scanner. Is there a concerted attempt, you believe, to communalize the electorate in Karnataka like never before? And can that work in a state like Karnataka?
Rajdeep, we have heard what both the BJP and the Congress spokesperson said. I think there is beyond a shadow of doubt that in the last 7-8 months, the state has seen intense polarization on both sides, an attempt at majority polarization and an attempt at minority consolidation. And I think the issue is, if you look at what has recently happened and what we are debating today, we seem to be selective in the icons we would like to celebrate, rather than celebrating a movement, rather than celebrating an achievement, rather than celebrating our victory of independence. I think rather than looking at that larger picture, we are either looking at a single picture, a single person, a single episode, a particular moment, and then leaving out the rest.
No,
I think that's where we are doing the biggest danger. Is it a deliberate
effort because this is election year in Karnataka that this is being played out?
Beyond doubt, I think, and this has happened each time an election has come. For the people of Karnataka, the issues are fundamentally that of unemployment, price rise, infrastructure, and I think what the government of the day needed to do was highlight its achievements in these areas. And it was for the opposition then to say that this is not happening. But unfortunately, in the entire public debate, it is a fight between my icons and your icons, and people's issues be damned, and nobody needs to be worried about that.
But can it work? In your view, Dr. Shastri, in your view, especially in coastal Karnataka, large Muslim population, can it work? Can this form of politics, BJP swept Karnataka in the 2019 general elections. Do you believe that communal polarization can work on the ground or not?
Polarization has worked in Karnataka in pockets. Polarization on both sides has worked in pockets. But I think beyond a point, beyond a stage, beyond a moment, polarization on religious lines in Karnataka has its limits. And this has time and again been proved in the state. There are areas which can be influenced by this, and those areas are limited. And to try and take it beyond those areas, I think that would be something which will have to be seen, whether it actually works or not. Karnataka has not been a state which has responded to polarization. And Rajdeep, if I could make a small point, 2019 was not about communal polarization. 2019 BJP's sweep was about the leadership and about the fact that the Congress and JDU came together and cut into each other's vote bank. It had not much to do with communal polarization. And if one believes that 2019 BJP victory was because of communal polarization, I think there is an error there.
Okay, so effectively you're saying that the political parties may well, particularly the ruling BJP in this instance, playing that card of arousing Hindutva passions, but in your view, that may have limited impact in Karnataka. I wish we had more time on the debate. We will continue to track Karnataka's politics. I appreciate my guest joining me. It's a state which will continue to make the headlines, I can assure you, in the next 7 to 8 months. For now, Aishwarya Mahadev, Captain Karnik, Sandeep Shastri, appreciate your joining me here on the News Today tonight. Thank you. Let's look at our Get Real India story, because in this country, there are stories that often get lost in all the noisy headlines. Following the model of, Delhi's Mohalla clinic is under the scanner. But in Punjab, the Aam Aadmi Party government has decided to go ahead and put in Aam Aadmi clinics across the state on the 15th of August. But how effective are these Mohalla clinics going to be in Punjab? India Today brings you a reality check. It's our Get Real India story.
हर गांव में और शहर के हर वार्ड में एक एक मोहल्ला क्लिनिक खोलेंगे जैसे दिल्ली में खोला है.
Mohalla clinics, the Aam Aadmi Party's initiative to provide affordable healthcare, is one of its calling cards ahead of state elections. The innovative experiment tried and tested in Delhi was recently unveiled in Punjab.
Aam Aadmi clinics were launched on 15th of August in Punjab by the Aam Aadmi Party-led government. 75 clinics were launched on the 15th of August and 25 remaining clinics are being launched. To do a reality check whether the facilities as promised by the state government are available to the people or not, we are here at Dhakoli in Mohali district to do a reality check.
The initial response to the Aam Aadmi clinics seems to be positive.
ये बहुत अच्छा हो गया. यहाँ पे दूर जाना पड़ता था ना, तो अब ये इतना पास हो जाएगा तो सबके लिए थोड़ा इजी हो जाएगा. बट ये गंदगी तो साफ होनी चाहिए. जैसे ये गाय वगैरह सब बैठे, आधे पेशेंट तो डर के भाग जाएंगे, तो उसके लिए थोड़ा सा तो करना पड़ेगा काम.
जब क्लिनिक नहीं था तो उससे पहले आप कहाँ जाते थे इलाज के लिए?
मैं उधर एक डॉक्टर रहते, फिर मैं साले में वहाँ जाती थी दवाई लेने. हाँ, अच्छा लग रहा है कि यहाँ गरीबों के लिए या सबके लिए दवाई मिलेगी अच्छे से, और सबकी किसी को नहीं पैसे होते किसी के पास दवाई लेने के लिए, तो यहाँ पे ले लेंगे दवाई.
The Bhagwant Singh Mann government has opened 75 clinics with 25 more to follow. In a state which is short of doctors, some of these clinics are banking on retired doctors.
टेक्निकल इश्यूज आ रहे हैं, जैसे कि हमने देखा कि आप ये ऑनलाइन आपका सिस्टम है प्रिस्क्रिप्शन का.
बिल्कुल थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम आएगी क्योंकि हमें धीरे धीरे, क्योंकि मैं रिटायर्ड हूँ, मुझे थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम ये आ रही है, ये धीरे धीरे ये भी ठीक हो जाएगी. हमारे 40 और 45 के बीच में पेशेंट शुरू हुए हैं. ये है कि हमारा जो ये आम आदमी क्लिनिक काफ़ी दूर पड़ता है बाजार से, तो लोगों को धीरे धीरे पता लग रहा है और सारे जिसको पता लगता है ट्रीटमेंट लेकर जाता है वो धीरे धीरे आ ही जाते हैं.
The Aam Aadmi clinics are handicapped by Punjab's biggest healthcare problem, the shortage of doctors. Take a look at these stats. Only 38% doctor posts are filled in ESI hospitals in the state. There are 447 doctor vacancies in 160 community health centers. As per norms, 4 specialist doctors per center are needed. Only 30 community health centers have 4 specialist doctors. Primary health centers in Punjab have 209 vacancies for doctors. The opposition in Punjab claims Aam Aadmi clinics are old wine in new bottle.
आम आदमी पार्टी ने क्लिनिक शुरू करने का किया है, ये 100% एक ड्रामा है, तमाशा. एक तो यह है कि सिविल हॉस्पिटल आधा किलोमीटर दूर है, तो उसके साथ आप एक नया ड्रामा कर रहे हो कि एक आम आदमी क्लिनिक खोलने, उसका क्या फायदा? जब इतना बड़ा सिविल हॉस्पिटल है, वहाँ सारी फैसिलिटीज हैं, इंडोर भी है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन भी है, तो पेशेंट के लिए ये बेटर होगा कि वहाँ जाए, जो सारी उसकी अच्छी तरीके से जांच हो, जो ट्रीटमेंट हो जाए.
Amid acute shortage of medical staff in the state and criticism by the opposition, the Punjab government faces a tough challenge of making Aam Aadmi clinics work. With Manjeet Sehgal in Mohali, Bureau Report, India Today.
We'll wait and see how those Aam Aadmi clinics work in Punjab, but let's take a break. On the other side comes our good news today story, and it comes from Solan in Himachal Pradesh. We'll tell you why when we return. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
Kinmen Island. This is Taiwan's most threatened outpost, just 10 kilometers away from mainland China. If China made the Great Wall, Taiwan made a series of such tunnels right from 1949 onwards. Join me, Gaurav Sawant, as I report live and exclusive from Ground Zero, Taiwan, only on India Today.
This testing shows us that there is a vast potential in the commercial use of drones, especially in urban area. And this is a further step of creating an economically viable model.
Welcome back. Let's turn to tonight's Good News Today story. Tonight we meet Rajesh Kumar from Himachal Pradesh, Solan, who uses wood waste to make beautiful artifacts. The 40-year-old farmer aims to build a museum one day to house all his art. It's tonight's Good News Today story.
Passion, dedication and sheer hard work can change even waste into art. Rajesh Kumar, a 40-year-old from Gadhok village in Himachal Pradesh's Solan district, has been converting waste wood into magnificent handicrafts for the last 2 decades.
ये सर सारी वेस्ट लकड़ियाँ हैं जो खराब पड़ी हुई होती हैं हमारे आसपास खेतों में या सड़कों में जंगलों में मैं उनको इकट्ठी करता हूँ फिर उनमें कोई डिजाइन देखता हूँ भी इसका क्या बन सकता है फिर उसको तैयार करता हूँ अच्छा और उन्हें सजावट के रूप में काम आती है ये
Rajesh, who never received any training, carves out the sculptures of dragons, snakes, lions, etc. A farmer by profession, Rajesh says he is unable to dedicate enough time to his hobby. He also laments the lack of access to machines.
काम बहुत है इसमें ये सारा काम हाथ का है जी मशीन कोई भी नहीं है मेरे पास अच्छा हाथ से ही करता हूँ अच्छा तो हाथ से करने की वजह से तो इसमें ज़्यादा समय लगता है अगर मशीन हो तो समय बच जाता है
Rajesh is now teaching his family members and other villagers how to recycle wood. He dreams of building a museum one day to showcase his work. Bureau Report, India Today.
Wonderful creativity there. When you're next in Solan, do go and meet Rajesh Kumar. Our image of the day, the Indian cricket team bursting into a Kala Chashma moment after sweeping the ODI series against Zimbabwe 3-0. Let's leave you with that image of the day. You stay well, stay safe. Good night. Jai Hind. Shubh Ratri. Namaskar.
teaser of Godfather has finally been unveiled. The 1 minute 33 seconds clip showcases Chiranjeevi and Salman Khan's perfect partner in crime camaraderie, with megastar Chiranjeevi making a heroic entry and firing guns.
लगता है बड़ी लंबी प्लानिंग चल रही है। अपने इस छोटे भाई को भूलना नहीं। कहो तो अभी आ जाता हूँ। Wait for my command, brother.
Followed by Salman Khan's starry entry, riding a bike and shooting bullets. The teaser is a treat for fans of both the actors. That's not all, it also gives a glimpse of Nayanthara's character in the film. Earlier, Chiranjeevi had shared this picture with Salman Khan and revealed that they are shooting for a special number